We are floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown. My friend, my wingman, the guy who watches my six every single day, is my main man, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, Brother Paul, today?
Well, Commander Drew, today is a good day. It's good to see you. I'm feeling pretty good. Your background makes me think of a popsicle. Get from a good humor truck.
Yeah, it's a Peter Max painting, I believe. It really isn't. It's just AI and it's pretty. And you notice I got my all blacks shirt on from New Zealand, the rugby team.
Yeah. I got one of those. Well, not that shirt, but a similar shirt I got in Hong Kong. It was a soccer shirt too, probably a knockoff, but it's still working. It looks great after about 30 years.
Well, that's great. All right. Have you ever heard of Khalil Gibran?
I've heard of him. I've never read his stuff. I've heard the name.
Well, how about a quote of the day from him? All you have shall someday be given. Therefore, give now. One more time. All you have shall someday be given. Therefore, give now. I like that. In other words, you leave this earth with nothing. So it's better to be a little bit generous right now because you're not going to have it one day anyway. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. That's true. We're just here for a while, and essentially, we're from the mindset we're just kind of passing through.
And to be honest with you, the more you give, the more you get. And that is absolutely true. All right. The title of the show today is America Plays Soccer, but the World Lives Soccer. Hey, Doc, everywhere you look, the world is in love with soccer. It's the global language, one ball, one field, and millions of kids dreaming of the World Cup. But when you zoom in on America, something strange happens. Our sports posters show helmets, hoops, and home runs instead of that beautiful game called soccer. From day one, our best young athletes grow up wanting to be NFL stars, NBA legends, or Major League Baseball sluggers. Soccer's there, but it's fighting for attention in a country already married to its own homegrown sports, Dr. Paul.
Yeah. Now look at how a talented kid moves up. In most of the world, if you're good, the club finds you. They give you coaching, a jersey, a chance, no big bill attached. But in the US, we call it pay for play, for a reason. The reason for that. You got travel teams, you got tournament fees, you got private coaches, you got long distance flights, which I know very well, didn't do the flights. But families can drop thousands of dollars a year just to keep their kid in the pipeline. So that turns soccer into a country club sport. So we're not picking our national team from the whole country. We're picking from the families who can afford the gate fee, Commander Drew.
That is so true. It's expensive to have a child in athletics today. And then we hit the pro level. Overseas, the biggest clubs spend huge money to chase the best players on earth. It's ruthless, but it builds super teams, superstars, and super pressure. You see, here at home, MLS, Major League Soccer, is built differently. Salary caps and roster rules keep the league balanced and financially safe, but they also keep it from going toe to toe with those global giants. You can't easily buy or keep that world class talent. So our domestic game grows, but doesn't explode. And when the spotlight is smaller, the next Messi or Mbappe is less likely to come from this American soil, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, you're right, Commander Drew, because talent isn't the issue. The US has produced a strong number of players and solid teams. But when you look at the world's biggest soccer stories, they're often built around one generational superstar who drags a whole nation forward. We've never had that singular men's player in the global elite, the kind of star that makes every kid in the country wear his jersey and copy his moves in the backyard, like Michael Jordan or something. So without that figurehead, soccer in America feels good, but it's not legendary. The world sees our team as dangerous, like on a good day, but not as a permanent powerhouse.
That's so true. We do not have a soccer superstar. Never really even thought about that. And even the way the game fits on TV makes a difference. American sports are built around stoppages, timeouts, quarters, halves, innings, perfect for commercial breaks and big money advertising, Dr. P.
Right. Soccer says, no timeouts, just keep playing. So they got two long halves. They have almost no pauses. So for decades, that made it tougher to sell to networks that live off of commercials. So yeah, less TV push. That means less cultural push. So we end up with a sport that millions of kids play, but that the business machine never fully crowns as the king competitor.
Well, they've changed it now. Now they have a hydration break in the middle of both halves. So we do have those commercial breaks. And that's why right now America loves soccer, but we still don't lead soccer. Until we change who gets access, how we develop talent, and what we value, we'll keep showing up to the World Cup and watching the rest of the world write the story. Hey, Doc, do you know why ball players paint their faces? Do you have any idea why they put that black under their eyes?
Not exactly, but I thought it had something to do with vision, maybe.
Yes, Doc, picture this. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded, ball launched to the heavens, and your center fielder drops the ultimate heartbreak line. I lost it in the sun. That's why these guys paint their faces. It's not Halloween, it's survival. You see, those black stripes are different between a game winning catch and a long, quiet bus ride home, Dr. Paul.
Yeah. So here's a wingman science. Bright light bounces off your cheeks right into your eyes. So that black grease absorbs some of the glare so you can better see the ball against a blue sky, really. Studies say that it helps a little with no superhero x-ray vision. You don't have that. This is just a really small upgrade. But when a 95-mile-an-hour rocket is screaming at you, small upgrade sounds like a really good idea.
Yes, it does. And oh, yeah, you could ask, why not just wear the sunglasses? Well, some ball players do that, but shades fog up. Sometimes they slide down, they collect sweat, and sometimes they actually can make the ball look just a little different. And in a fast game, that little different can be one drop fly ball. So some guys say, forget the gadgets. Give me a cap, my bare eyes, and a couple of war stripes under them. Eye black becomes the cheap, reliable tool in a glare fighting kit.
Yeah. And the real wingman lesson here is not just about glare, it's about kind of a ritual. So baseball is full of routines and superstitions, like having the same meal, wearing the same socks, same walk to the dugout. That swipe of the eye black is also a tiny pre-flight checklist. Get your game face on, you get your focus locked. Psychologists say those routines help calm nerves and sharpen performance command, Drew.
That's very true. Baseball players are very superstitious. So the next time you see black stripes under a player's eyes, remember this: they're blocking a little light, adding little science, and a lot of confidence. In baseball, flying jets, or just getting through your day, your game face isn't magic. It's the small habit you do before the big moment that helps you see clearly and make the catch when it matters most. We'll be right back. All right, Dr. Paul, we love good news, and this show loves to spread good news because there's good news out there. The rest of the world says if it bleeds, it leads. Well, not here on the Wingman Show. We say if it's good, it should. So, Doc, the World Cup finally lands in our backyard, and New Jersey is lit up. Packed fan festivals, watch parties in bars and restaurants, mountains and mountains of food everywhere. Now, we've been honest on this show. USA soccer still isn't up to par with the global heavyweights. We struggle on that pitch. But in the middle of all that noise, one charity looked around and said, if we can't win the cup, let's at least win for our neighbors. And that's where Table to Table steps onto the field, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, while fans were yelling at the refs, these folks are quietly packing up hundreds of leftover meals. They're already cooked, they're already prepared, and ready to eat. Their Kick Hunger Out of New Jersey tour van is moving all over northern and central New Jersey, grabbing surplus food from fan festivals, food trucks, restaurants, and event spaces. Now, their mission is simple. If the kitchen made it and the crowd didn't finish it, it doesn't just go in the trash. It goes onto someone's dinner table. That's what they call a gift to their communities, Commander Drew.
Wow, those meals don't just look good, they keep people going. At places like Parkside Community Church in Westwood, you see those deliveries become grocery shopping for the week. The folks coming through those doors, they can't afford to buy enough food on their own. So this isn't just a bonus, it's survival. Table to Table is cutting food waste on one side and tackling hunger on the other, all in real time during the 39-day tournament. And while the rest of the world is tracking goals, they're tracking how many families get to eat, Dr. P.
Yeah. So the championship match will be played at MetLife Stadium. And the chances are we're still talking about why USA soccer still isn't on par with the rest of the world when it comes to trophies and talents, Commander Drew.
Yeah, but this four picture story proves something else. Even when our game isn't world class, our generosity can be. While the big names chase the World Cup, New Jersey is quietly winning a different contest. Less waste, more plates, and communities that feel seen instead of forgotten. If you're looking for a reason to feel proud this tournament, look past that scoreboard and follow that van in New Jersey. And that's where America is actually leading. Hey, Doc, you want a little bit more good news?
Oh, yeah, we need more good news. So that.
All right. Imagine being so fast that the Olympics feel like they're right around the corner. And you see, that was Stephanie Baliga. Track was her whole identity. She was one of the fastest freshman runners in the country, living for personal records and podium finishes. And then one injury changed her course. A fractured foot took her off the track and into quiet, honest prayer. And in that silence, she realized something powerful. She didn't just want to run for medals anymore. She now wanted to run for God.
Yeah, she became Sister Stephanie, serving at the mission of Our Lady of Angels in Chicago. But here's the good news. She never stopped running. She just changed what the finish line meant. So for 15 years, she's laced up for the Chicago Marathon, not for glory, but to feed families. Her marathon team has raised over $2.6 million, turning every mile into groceries, rent relief, and dignity for people who need it most. She literally traded Olympic dreams for the chance to put food on someone else's table.
And those dollars are not just numbers, they're lives. Every week, the mission serves 400 to 500 families in person, plus hundreds of deliveries to seniors who can't leave their homes. The funding from their marathons helped expand the pantry before the pandemic and kept it strong while things got really hard. And you see, while the world talks about records and highlight reels, Sister Stephanie talks about Tuesday, the day the doors open and families know that they're not alone anymore, Dr. Paul.
Yeah. Now she's training for her 16th Chicago Marathon with almost 200 runners, aiming to raise another $500,000. They even ran a half marathon practice round and pulled in tens of thousands of dollars more. For the sidelines of the full story, you got nuns waving signs, you've got a cardboard cutout of Pope Leo, and people laughing through the pain because they know what every step is really paying for, Commander Drew.
Yeah, and that Pope Leo comes from Chicago. How cool is that? And when she looks at that big fundraising total, those long lines of zeros, she doesn't say, Look what I did. She said, the Lord provides. Her message is simple. God's will is whatever is right in front of you. For her, that's a pair of running shoes, a crowded food pantry, and a city full of families who now have one less thing to worry about. That's not losing an Olympic dream. That's actually winning at life. And we'll be right back. All right, everybody, it's Jet Jolt time. And you know, we love Jet Jolt because we're two badass Navy jet pilots. And if you ever want to see what two badass Navy jet pilots look like, turn on your YouTube. We're on YouTube, and I think you'll like it. So, how about this, our Jet Jolt? When a team of meteorologists and combat pilots set out to understand thunderstorms, they actually made flying safer. So, Doc, there was a time when flying into a thunderstorm was like rolling dice with your life. No radar, no real forecasting, just guts and hope. And airliners like the DC-3 would launch into what looked like a few clouds, and boom, sudden storms, violent turbulence, lightning strikes, and then tragic crashes. You see, back then, the sky wasn't the smooth highway we know today. It was a hostile neighborhood with no street lights and no map.
All right. So what did America do? We built a team that sounds like a cast out of a movie. You had combat pilots, you had top meteorologists, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Weather Bureau, everybody. They launched the Thunderstorm Project and told these pilots, don't avoid the storms, go find the biggest, nastiest ones and fly right through them. These guys took war tested Black Widows, an airplane, and turned them into flying science labs, getting hammered by updrafts, downdrafts, and turbulence so bad it flipped airplanes and bounced them thousands of feet in the air. And they kept flying, they kept measuring, and they kept learning, Commander Drew.
And you know what they found? What they found changed everything. Thunderstorms weren't random monsters. They actually had a life cycle, growing, raging, and then dying. The worst turbulence sat middle of the rain cores. Radar could see those cores, see the cells. And here's the magic, see the calmer corridors in between. They learned that if you delay a takeoff just a few minutes, you miss the peak fury. If you read the radar right, you can actually thread around the rough stuff instead of through it. That's the difference between white knuckle ride and will be a few minutes late. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah. So today, the miracle of all that bravery is just boredom. Boredom on your part. You and I get on a jet, as passengers typically complain about not getting even a pretzel or any snacks. They don't do that anymore. We may scroll on our phones and barely think about a thunderstorm that might be right off the nose that the crew is just sliding around using their radar. So that boring flight is paid for by the men and women who flew into the worst weather on purpose so we could fly around it on schedule. So the Thunderstorm Project is almost a footnote now, but every safe landing in rough weather is their signature, Commander Drew.
So here's your jet jolt. The next time you're stuck on the tarmac because of storms, don't just grumble. Remember, somebody once volunteered to fly into that kind of weather, blind, so that today your biggest problem is whether the in flight movie is any good. And that's what we call turning danger into data and data into everyday safety. And Dr. Paul, you and I have flown around thunderstorms our entire flying career. Remember looking at that radar and dodging the storms and going in between them?
I spent a lot of my life doing that. I remember 2 or 3 events very graphically.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Wingman Show. We truly appreciate it. We truly appreciate Apple Podcast listeners, YouTube watchers, TikTok, Instagram, all of you writing letters, actually getting subscriptions. We truly appreciate it. And we have a website, and that website is wingmenshow.com. One more time, WINGMEN show.com. And on our website, we have a couple of things. Our newsletter this week is a good one. How to prepare for any interview. You should really read that. It'll really help you out. And we have a frequent flow line. And that's where you guys out there get to write Dr. Paul, myself, and Ace a question. And we will try to get to it on the show. And we'll be right back. All right, Ace, here's a frequent flow line letter that I'd like you to listen to and give your answer. The letter is, we're writing from a small town in Vermont where the mountains are calm, but our hearts are anything but when it comes to our grandchildren and sports. You see, our grandkids are starting to play football and soccer, and lately we've been terrified by all the reports about concussions and CTE. We keep seeing stories about young athletes with brain injuries, memory problems, and lives changed forever. And it's not hard to imagine our own grandchildren in those headlines. So here's our dilemma. We love our grandkids deeply. We want them to have fun, be part of a team, and enjoy their childhood. We also respect our children as parents and do not want to interfere too much with their decisions or turn this into a family battle. At the same time, we're scared. We're old enough to know that they'll be fine isn't always true. Dr. Paul, why don't you continue the letter?
Yeah, then they get very honest about their experience. They say, the grandfather talking, I played semi pro football back in my day. Even then, the game was tough. People got hurt, and we just shook it off because that's what you did. But the players were not as big, not as fast, and we didn't hit like they do now. If we had that much damage at a slower speed, I can only imagine what today's collisions can do, even with better equipment. So returning to you, Commander Drew, Dr. Paula, and Ace, because we listen to your show every week and we respect your opinions. We're proud of what you've both accomplished as Navy jet pilots, authors, and now as voices trying to bring good news and honest conversation into the world. You've earned our trust.
And here's the heart of their question. They write, our questions are simple, but heavy. What is the most we can reasonably do as grandparents? Is there a way to gently steer them towards safer sports or positions without sounding controlling or fearful? Are there practical steps we can suggest? Better coaching, safer leagues, proper technique and equipment, medical baseline testing that truly lowers the risk? Or are we just kidding ourselves? And how do we talk about all this without becoming the nagging grandparents who ruin the fun? We don't want to wrap our grandkids in bubble wrap, but we also don't want to sit silently and pretend these risks don't exist. We're hoping there's a middle ground where they can still play, still smile, still be part of a team while we sleep a little better at night. So, Wingman, what would you do if these were your grandchildren? With respect and appreciation, your faithful listeners in Vermont. What do you think, Ace?
Yeah, that's a thoughtful question, and I can hear the love in it. First, you're not overreacting, but you're also not powerless. The middle ground is real. Focus on influence, not control. That often means starting with questions, not warnings. Like asking, what do you enjoy most about playing? Or what makes you feel safe out there? That keeps the door open, then gently nudge towards smart safety. Coaches who teach proper tackling, leagues that limit full contact practice, making sure any concussion, even a suspected one, is checked and taken seriously. Some programs offer baseline cognitive testing, which can be helpful. Not magic, but a data point. Equipment helps too, but technique and culture matter more. And if you're worried about specific positions or sports, frame it as curiosity. Hey, what positions feel fun and safe to you rather than fear? It keeps dignity intact. You're not ruining the fun. You're being the steady, supportive presence who says, I love watching you play and I care about you. That's not nagging, that's presence. And that matters.
Thank you, Ace. That's great. Dr. Paul, what do you think?
Well, I say first, Vermont Wingmen, first of all, thank you for the letter. You hit the tension a lot of families feel but don't say out loud. You're kind of stuck between love and fear, wanting them to have fun and be part of a team, but knowing that helmets don't make people invincible. So here's what I'd say is the doc and this duo here, really trio. Your concern is justified, but the relationship is precious. Your primary job isn't to win the argument about football, it's to stay trusted and involved. So instead of trying to slam the door on sports, your move is to open a calm, grown up conversation with the parents. Try saying something like, we love that the kids are active and part of a team. We're just worried about head injuries. Can we talk together about making this as safe as possible? That shifts you from being the fearful grandparents to partners in safety. You're not saying no. You're saying, if they do this, let's do it smart. From there, you can bring up practical things like choosing leagues that teach proper technique and limit full contact practices, making sure coaches take concussion seriously and pull kids when needed, considering safer positions or levels at younger ages like flag football, no hitting in youth soccer, that kind of thing. So you're not attacking their parenting, you're offering experience and support.
And let me add this, Wingman. Let me add this angle. I've flown jets in bad weather and coached young athletes, and the principle is the same. You can't always avoid the risk, but you can manage it and teach people how to respect it. You see, if these were my grandkids, I'd do three things. First, I'd talk to the parents with respect. I'd say, look, I played college football and I know what a hit feels like. I'm proud of the kids. I'm not here to shut this down. I'm here to make sure we're asking the right safety questions. Ask calm, practical questions around the team, not in a confrontational way. Just, hey, coach, how do you teach tackling to protect the head and neck? And coach, what's your concussion protocol? And coach, how many full contact practices do you run? You see, when grandparents show up and ask those questions kindly, everybody in the program gets the message that safety matters. Wingmen, the grandkids themselves, I'd sit them down and say, Grandpa took some big hits in his day. I'm proud of you for playing. Just promise me one thing. If you ever feel dizzy, confused, or just a little bit off after a hit, you tell somebody. Tough doesn't mean hiding injuries. Tough means telling the truth so you can play another day. And see, that way, you're still the cool grandparents. You're not killing their fun, you're giving them a smarter way to chase it. And I'll tell you this, the fact that you wrote us, that you're thinking about this, means you're already doing the most important job, and that's showing up and caring. You can't protect kids from everything, but you can be the wingman who ask questions, share experience, and keep the family talking instead of fighting. So, to our Vermont wingmen, keep loving those grandkids, keep respecting your children, and keep your voice calm and steady. That's how you stay close and still stand guard. We'll be right back.
This is a Wingman PSA. In the sky, your partner has your back. Now, let's get to it.
Climbing in now, systems green.
Now for the Wingman PSA. From the 11 Facts in Life, under fact number 6, greed. Greed is the curse of insatiability. Insatiability is impossible to satisfy. Greed is the curse of insatiability. Dr. Paul, could you imagine not ever being satisfied? I know some women who just shop and shop and shop and shop and shop and they're never satisfied. When will they get satisfied? It's more of a hole inside of them. I know people who just do things continuously, more and more and more. They want more money, more houses, more gold. They want more everything. And that's greed. That's the curse of insatiability. What do you think about greed, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, that's the ultimate question. After a certain point, how much is enough? I've heard that asked by I remember Senator Kennedy asked that during a session one time, and I forgot what they were debating. But So people have everything, and sometimes you have everything maybe materially, but you're missing something inside that money really can't buy, but they keep trying anyway.
And we're reading a book now called Die Broke or Die with Zero. And I think that is the goal. We'll be right back. Hey, Ace, it's time for the gouge. And the gouge is shit you need to know, but sometimes nobody tells you. And we learned that in the Navy. So, Ace of ChatGPT, tell me how your phone quietly sells you out every day. Give me the gouge on background app permissions, location tracking, Bluetooth beacons, and free Wi Fi that quietly builds a profile on you, often shared or sold for YouTube, actually. So here's the angle for you, Ace. What's the real threat level for an average person? And give me 3 settings every civilian pilot of a smartphone should lock down today.
All right, Commander, here's the gouge. First off, your phone isn't secretly recording everything you say, but it does build a profile through thousands of tiny breadcrumbs. Apps ping your location, Bluetooth sniffs for beacons in stores, free Wi Fi can scoop up data if it isn't legit. The threat for most folks isn't some spy movie stuff, it's being profiled and traded in the ad economy. 3 quick fixes. 1, go into settings, lock location to while using the app for almost everything. 2, shut off Bluetooth when you're not using it. And 3, audit permissions for camera, mic, and contacts. If it doesn't need it, kill it. And one last gut check. If it's a free app, always ask yourself, what am I paying with? That's the gouge.
Everybody, we love our Wingman stories because our Wingmen show that people do care about other people, and that's what a Wingman is. So, in a little Oklahoma town, there's a junior high school basketball star. He's got quick feet, great hands, and big dreams. One afternoon, practice gets canceled, and the siren starts screaming. His family does what they're told. They go to the safe house. But that day, the storm had other ideas. A tornado ripped through town, tore up trees like matchsticks, and one huge limb crashed right onto that shelter.
In the chaos, that tree limb fell across him and crushed his left arm below the elbow. He woke up in a hospital, foggy and afraid, and heard the words no young athlete wants to hear. We had to amputate. Overnight, the kid who lived for rebounds and crossovers went from 2 strong hands to 1, and his future suddenly looked as broken as the house he just crawled out of.
But then his wingman walked in, his junior high school coach, and he didn't bring flowers. He brought a basketball. He sat down and said, I still see a place, still see a defender, I still see a college scholarship. If you're willing to fight, I'm willing to coach. He didn't sugarcoat the pain. He just made one promise. You won't be fighting this alone.
And they started from scratch. Right hand dribbling till his fingers went numb, defensive slides until his legs shook. They turned his body into a shield and his one arm into a scalpel. Precise steals, smart deflections, perfect angles. The coach broke down the game to footwork, timing, and heart. Defense, he told them. Defense has never been about how many hands you have. It's about how much effort you're willing to give. And the kid gave everything.
By high school, nobody circled his name out of pity. They actually circled it as a problem. The other coaches told their scorers, he's got only one arm, but he'll make your life miserable. He boxed out with his body, jumped passing lanes with his right hand, and played defense like every possession was an audition. And in a way, it was, because behind every stop, he was chasing something bigger than a box score. He was chasing a future.
So one ordinary afternoon, the extraordinary showed up in the mail. The college logo in the corner, his name on the front. He tore it open, With that same right hand, he trained 1,000 hours. And there it was, a basketball scholarship. The room went quiet for a second. Then everybody's knees gave out. Mom crying, dad stunned, coach smiling like he just won the championship.
You know, he looked at that coach, the man who walked into a hospital room with a basketball and a plan, and he said, "We did it. That's wingman work. Not just clapping when you win, but refusing to walk away when a tornado takes your arm, your dream, or your confidence." So if life has knocked a piece off your game, remember that kid from Oklahoma. You don't need every part you started with. You need a wingman, some stubborn belief, and the willingness to put your one good hand back on that ball. And everybody who is watching us and everybody who is listening to us, whatever you think is beautiful, whatever you think is important, and most importantly, whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too, Commander Drew. And we appreciate all those who listen, like, and share our message. Send this to somebody you know who needs a good pick-me-up. If you watch us on YouTube, we'd really appreciate it if you become subscribers. That helps the algorithm. And that way you'll get a notification we have a new episode that comes out. Also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can now see us visually too. So if you want to see what we look like and see some of the images we developed, give that a look. We look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.